What if one missed visa renewal could rip someone's life apart? What if the person beside you in class, work, or church could vanish, not by choice, but by policy? Today, we trace the top African and Asian countries where people are being deported the most, not because they committed crimes, often because of paperwork, broken promises, and a system built to trip you up. Hold tight. These are number 10 through number 1, and each story will hit you harder than the last. Number 10, Bangladesh, the Overstayers Club. We don't have a precise ICE removal number for Bangladesh in recent African deportation reports, but what we do have is this. Over 4,800 Bangladeshis are on the US non-detained docket with final removal orders. That means they're not necessarily deported yet, but legally bound to be. Many came on student, tourist, or temporary work visas, but in 2024, visa overstays made up a large slice of removals. For Bangladeshis, low extension approval rates, complex renewal paperwork, and tight deadlines mean temporary often turns into trapped. Why so many overstays? Deadlines missed, mails lost, status changes, finish school, switch jobs that invalidate prior permissions. One simple error can mean falling out of legal status. Then ICE gets involved. Bangladesh proves one thing. Time flies when you're living the American dream illegally. Number 9, India. The tech giants with tiny visa windows. India sends millions of students, tech workers, and researchers to the US. Thousands of H-1B holders, F-1 students, but data shows a growing number end up in legal limbo. Visas expire, renewals denied, status mismanaged. Specific removal numbers for India aren't always clearly published in the African deportation datasets, but Indian nationals do appear frequently in overstay and visa revocation statistics. Some reports say hundreds of Indian nationals are deported or forced to self-deport every year due to legal violations of status. Also, when policy or diplomatic tensions rise, enforcement tends to tighten. Delays in processing, shifting requirements, and sometimes unclear communication make staying legal harder than entering. Turns out, even if you can code in 7 languages, you still can't debug US immigration law. Number 8, the Philippines, the caregiver paradox. Filipino workers are deeply woven into America's caregiving system. Elderly homes, healthcare support, domestic work, but many arrive under specific visa or sponsorship rules. If employers change, if contracts end, or visas expire without renewal, many face deportation or forced exit. What makes the paradox bitter? The country that fills a critical labor gap is also one that more often than not has its people pushed out by system quirks rather than criminality. They heal America, but the system doesn't always return the favor. Number 7, Pakistan, the student dream trap. Thousands of Pakistani students enroll in US universities, some with full financial support, others with partial. When funding falls through or visa status changes, F1, OPT, or paperwork for optional practical training OPT is delayed, status is lost. Also, post 9/11 and later security measures mean Pakistani nationals often undergo extra scrutiny, lengthier background checks, which increase risk of denials or final orders. Many deportations aren't sudden. They stem from waiting, hearings, miscommunication, or policy shifts. Education's the dream, but for many, it ends in a nightmare flight home. Number 6, China, the Great Visa Wall. Chinese nationals often face long waiting times and pending status, student visas, asylum applications, work permit renewals. Because of diplomatic tensions, policy changes, or sometimes opaque legal processes, visa revocations, status reversals, many are left in limbo. Although in recent ICE African deportation lists, China isn't among top numbers, in broader immigration policy and overstay data, China is consistently among nationalities flagged for status violations, delayed decisions, and removals in special cases, asylum denials, etc. When two superpowers play chess, pawns pay the price. Number 5. Kenya, the hustle and the heartbreak. Kenya appears among African nations in US deportation reports. Between 2020 and 2025, Kenya recorded 131 deportation from ICE removals, placing it among countries with moderate but meaningful numbers. Most of these removals are tied to visa overstays, status violations, and sometimes criminal histories or final court orders. What hurts more is that many of those removed were pursuing legitimate opportunities, studies, small businesses, or employment, but a missing form, job change without proper authorization, or a job sponsor withdrawing throws everything off. In America, hard work pays off, unless immigration paperwork says otherwise. Number 4. Ghana. Dreams denied at the border. Ghana shows up repeatedly in top African removal lists. Between 2020 and 2025, Ghana saw roughly 276 deportations from U.S. ICE removal actions. Young professionals, students, people seeking asylum often end up denied, sometimes because criteria shift, sometimes because the asylum claim is rejected, sometimes because legal help is unavailable. Deportations are often final orders, meaning no further legal recourse. You can deport a person, but you can't deport ambition. Number 3. Nigeria, the visa hustle capital. Nigeria is a leading case in Africa. From 2020 to 2025, 437 Nigerians were removed under ICE removal operations. Meanwhile, over the past 2 years, 897 Nigerians have also been granted asylum in the US, making the contrast sharp. Many succeed in court, many don't. Reasons for removal include final court removal orders, criminal convictions, status violations, but also many Nigerians removed were not criminals. Rather, they lost status, failed to extend visas, had delays, or didn't have access to proper legal counsel. When borders tighten, creativity finds new routes. Number 2. India, again, the return of the tech nomad. India's multiple appearances in overstay, denial, visa revocation stats suggest even those who enter legally under student or work visas are walking on thin ice. For instance, Indian tech workers on H-1B or other work permits and international students are vulnerable to policy shifts, e.g., changing OPT rules, employer sponsorship issues, delays, and denials. While exact removals numbers vary, reports have tracked spikes when visa removal windows narrow, when policy or administration changes increase scrutiny. Many Indians feel visa anxiety, fear that one signature, one missed deadline can bring removal. They build the apps America runs on, but can't always stay to enjoy the download. Number 1. Mexico's shadow but different faces. Deportations to Africa and Asia rising. Here's the twist. While Mexico still has the largest absolute numbers of deportations into the hundreds of thousands, the fastest growth rates in removals are among certain African and Asian countries. People aren't always crossing borders illegally, they're overstaying flights, failing to renew visas, sitting in removal limbo, or denied asylum. Also, programs like the Electronic Nationality Verification (ENB) have sped up identity verification and removal manifest approvals in countries like Senegal, Mauritania, Ghana, meaning once flagged, the process moves faster. Borders aren't walls anymore, they're algorithms, and algorithms don't care about your story. So what do these stories, Bangladesh, India, Philippines, Nigeria, Ghana, have in common? Not criminality, not even bad intentions. Mostly legal status so fragile it flips overnight. Paperwork so complex people lose track. Systems so slow that overstay becomes shorthand for fell through the cracks. In 2024, ICE carried out 271,484 removals, of which about 32.7%, nearly 88,000 people had criminal histories. That leaves more than 2/3 of removals involving people without violent crimes. If you believe everyone deserves due process and the shot to being heard, then these ripple effects matter more than the headlines.